After defeating the Green Bay Packers in a phenomenal upset last week, the Carolina Panthers lost to the New Orleans Saints today, 17-7. And the first player that I want to talk about in this video is Bryce Young. When you look at the situation that the Carolina Panthers are currently in, you invest a lot of money in your defense because last season, the defense was a major issue. They couldn't stop the run. This season, that hasn't been the case. They've had a very good defense all the way out. Their defensive coordinator has done a tremendous job against stopping the run and also the pass. Offensively speaking, you have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, even when you are dealing with injuries. You selected Icky in the first round a couple of years ago. He has been a very good left tackle this season and last season as well. You have Damian Lewis at the left guard position. You brought him in 2 years ago in free agency. You have Cade Mays, who is a tremendous center. And you have Austin Corbett as a backup at the center position, even though Austin Corbett opened the season as a starting center. Robert Hunt is on IR, but he's a very good right guard when he's fully healthy. And Taylor Moton is still one of the best right tackles in the game. So the offensive line is not an issue here. You have one of the best running backs in the game as well, Enrico, who had 200 yards from scrimmage in back-to-back matchups against the Miami Dolphins and the same against the Dallas Cowboys. The wide receiving position, you selected Tedero McMillan in the first round. He has been a phenomenal wide receiver this season. You have Jalen Coker. Hasn't been that same player from last year, but he opened the season on IR, dealing with a quad injury. We know that he's a very good wide receiver. Jimmy Horn has had some good moments. He did have a fumble in today's game. But what I'm saying is this, the offensive line is not an issue. You have a top run game and very good wide receivers on the outside. The issue is Bryce Young at the quarterback position. Dave Canales is a very good offensive coach. We got to see that with Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the same with Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. We know that he can coach. This is not a coaching issue either. Their identity on the offensive end is to run the football as much as possible and to basically use Bryce Young as a game manager. But in today's game against the Saints, he had that costly interception. He was late on an out route. You cannot be late on an out route. 9 times out of 10, that's going to go for an interception. The same with end breakers. If you throw an end breaker and the safety creeps down, it's a split-second decision. It's going to go for an interception. And Bryce Young is in year 3. He's not in year 1. He's not in year 2. And we've seen him have good moments in his career against Kansas City last year, the same against the Philadelphia Eagles, against the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But this season, he hasn't had that signature game to where he was able to put the team on his back fully when they stopped the run. We can talk about that comeback win against the Miami Dolphins, but that's against one of the worst teams in the NFL, and I would still give him credit for that, and the same against the Dallas Cowboys. But can you do that against elite level competition? Last week against the Green Bay Packers, you didn't win because of Bryce Young. You won because of your run game, and you won because of your defense. And they picked their spots with Bryce Young. That's just the truth here, and he has been a major disappointment. They selected him with the first overall pick. They traded up to select him with the first overall pick. He hasn't lived up to that hype. They're using him as his game manager. And it's hard to be a game manager in this league, especially when your timing and your anticipation is not there. And right now it's not there with Bryce Young. He's only had one game this season with over 200 passing yards, and that came against the Arizona Cardinals, and he had 55 pass attempts in that game. And you can make the case that a lot of those numbers came in garbage time, even though this game was close 27-22. The Arizona Cardinals, they had a tight lead in this game. They were able to make a comeback late in the fourth quarter. But if it takes you to have 55 pass attempts to have 328 passing yards, that says a lot about your quarterback. He did have 3 passing touchdowns, but he had a fumble for 6. So as soon as Kyler Murray touches the field, they're already up. He didn't even have to do anything to get the touchdown. And he had an interception in this matchup. Against the Atlanta Falcons, your defense balled out in the same with your run game. He only had 121 passing yards. Play through your defense, play through your run game. That's fine. But what happens when a team stops your run? What happens when the opposing quarterback, he's getting splash plays on your defense? Can you keep up? And right now, the answer to that question is no with Bryce Young this season. He's had a couple games this year where he didn't have a turnover. Against the Atlanta Falcons, against the New England Patriots, but this was a problem. A rookie in Drake May, he outplayed you. You're in year 3. In today's game, Tyler Shutt, he outplayed Bryce Young. They got splash plays with Juwan Johnson and the same with Chris Olave. But why can't Bryce Young make those plays outside the pocket? You have a better team around you. You have better weapons. The New Orleans Saints made sure we're going to stop this run game with Rico. We're not going to let Rico or Chuba Hubbard beat us. We're going to make sure that Bryce Young goes out there and he beats us. So on first down, we're going to creep down the line of scrimmage. We're going to make sure that we crowd this line of scrimmage, and we're not going to let those running backs get open space. And that's going to be the game plan moving forward. Now, the Green Bay Packers last week, they just couldn't stop the run. If your run game is clicking, it's a good chance the Carolina Panthers may win that matchup. But the blueprint moving forward with the Carolina Panthers now for opposing defenses, we're going to force Bryce Young to beat us. And that is very unfortunate for a man that was selected with the first overall pick. It says a lot about the coaching with the Carolina Panthers. Dave Canales can come out all he wants. He can say, well, Bryce Young is great. He's this, he's that. That's all PR. Look at how he coaches. If a coach is willing to go out there and run the football majority of the time, that tells you a lot about the quarterback position. You can bring up Detroit, but Jared Goff has had some big-time moments with them. They will let him throw the football 35 times in the game. You look at Bryce Young in the last couple weeks. He had 30 pass attempts against the Miami Dolphins because you were down in that matchup. But against the Dallas Cowboys, he only had 25 pass attempts. Against the New York Jets, 25 pass attempts. He did go down with an ankle injury. Against the Green Bay Packers, only 20 pass attempts. And in today's game against the Saints, only 25 pass attempts. That was it. They don't trust him to go out there and to be the leader of the offense because it's not his offense. It's Rico's offense. And if you take Rico away, they take a major step back. And this is not a video to say, well, bench Bryce Young and put in Andy Dalton. Look at how Andy Dalton performed against the Buffalo Bills. He was terrible in that game. And I got a lot of hate for that video in the comment section when I said, even if Bryce Young did play against the Buffalo Bills, it wouldn't have mattered. They would have still lost that matchup. This is what I mean. Bryce Young is not a game changer. He's not going to go out there and be the uplifter of your franchise. But he's a guy that can survive off the run game, and you can pick your spots with Bryce Young. And that's the problem that I have with the Carolina Panthers. I like the roster that they have. Dan Morgan has done a phenomenal job with getting the right pieces in place at the wide receiving position, at the offensive line spot. The same with this defense. Last week, your defense was tremendous, and the same against the New York Jets. This defense played so well against the New York Jets, they made Woody Johnson crash out. The owner with the Jets, he called out Justin Fields. He said, if we could complete a pass. Well, a lot of quarterbacks have struggled against this defense this season. Trevor Lawrence is one of them. The same with Kyler Murray in the second half. Michael Penix Jr., they weren't even able to score in this defense. So when your defense is going out there and they're coming up with clutch stops, you need that quarterback to go out there and to make good on those turnovers. Work off of play action. Now your next game is against the Atlanta Falcons. In order to still be a contender in this division and possibly make a postseason appearance, you have to win that game next week. You already beat the Atlanta Falcons once, but that was at home. Can you beat them on the road? And the Atlanta Falcons are struggling right now. Michael Penix Jr., he's having a lot of struggles himself. And this is for all the Carolina Panther fans that may come out and they say, well, you call out Bryce Young, call out other quarterbacks. I have. MPJ is struggling right now with the Atlanta Falcons, but Bryce Young is struggling as well. He can't even throw for over 200 passing yards in the game over the last couple of weeks. Now, this isn't on Bryce Young here. The fumble on Jimmy Horn, he's a rookie, but he has to understand something. When you get that end around, you have to have your arms up. You can't have your arms down. That went for a crucial fumble. And the Saints get the ball back. That had nothing to do with Bryce Young. He did what he was supposed to do. He had his arms out, received the ball. It hit his biceps. He wasn't ready for the snap. He wasn't ready for the ball. And that's inexcusable because they've ran a lot of end around plays this season with Jimmy Horn. When he gets you from going to sideline, that's a bunch of misdirection. And the reason why they pull out that play, when they're stopping Rico and they're just stopping Chuba Hubbard on just a couple of carries a game, you open up the run game with that. Now you make them honest. If you run that motion with Jimmy Horn, you have to be respectful for his speed. It could be a fake handoff. Here comes Rico on the back end. Here comes Chuba Hubbard on the back end. You can even work off a play action in that set. And we've seen Dave Canales do that before this season. It's a very good play call. It just, unfortunately, it just didn't work out. There was also a situation to where a field goal attempt was blocked. The New Orleans Saints didn't know the rules. They touched the football. You don't have to touch the football if you block a field goal. Essentially, that's like a punt. But if you touch the football and you don't recover it, technically that's a fumble. It's a weird rule. And it gave the Carolina Panthers the ball back. That had nothing to do with Bryce Young. The splash plays in this game with Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson, they had nothing to do with Bryce. I'm not blaming him for that. But at the end of the day, your defense only gave up 17 points. And Bryce threw a bad interception that basically closed out the game for the Carolina Panthers. That was a crazy play by Tyler Shutt to Chris Olave and the Saints to Juwan Johnson. But your defense was not the reason why you lost this game. And I can't come on here and blame the defense this season. You could blame the defense last year. They allowed 2,000 rushing yards on the season. That's terrible. I know that they are dealing with injuries right now in the edge rushing spot with Princely going down in this game. But you still have other players that stepped up. J.C. Horn's one of the best cornerbacks that you can have. Trayvon Moring is a very good player at the safety position. And the same with Lathan Ransom. Christian Roseboom has looked better over the last couple of weeks, and the same with Trayvon Wallace compared to early on this season. But the biggest problem right now with the Carolina Panthers, it is Bryce Young. He only had 102 passing yards last week against the Green Bay Packers. That's good enough to win by a walk-off field goal. That's not good enough every single week to defeat certain teams in this league. And I know the Carolina Panthers are still this team that's coming out of a rebuild. They haven't had major success in a very long time. But you look at the way that this organization is heading, they're heading to the right direction, and they need Bryce Young to head with them if they want him to be the guy. Now, I want to emphasize this is not a video to say Bryce Young needs to be benched, move off of Bryce Young. That's unrealistic right now. Stick with him. Let him learn from this. Hopefully he can play better. And if you're new to the channel, I'm the same guy. When they selected Bryce Young, the first overall pick, I said that he could be a potential franchise quarterback with this team. I want to see him be good. I want to see the Carolina Panthers be good again. The NFL is at its best when every single team can go out there any given week and they can defeat you. And right now, that's been the case this season. There's a lot of parity this year in the NFL, but it's very unfortunate that the Carolina Panthers this week, they were not able to defeat the New Orleans Saints. So hopefully next week they can take care of business against the Atlanta Falcons. And this is my one concern with the Panthers moving forward. The Falcons have a top defense, passing-wise and the same rushing-wise, statistically. Another team that can stop the run on a consistent basis every single week is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and both of those teams are in your division. They're going to need Bryce Young to take those deep shots down the field to Tedoroy McMillan. And you can make the case with Dave Canales, he needs to open up the playbook. He has done it this season. There's open wide receivers deep down the field. Bryce Young, he just doesn't see him. This is all on him. He just needs to be better. But I'm not giving up on the Carolina Panthers. They still could potentially win this division. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about Bryce Young? And am I just completely wrong about the Bryce Young situation? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys to stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.